our regular day of meeting, August 20th, day before school, 6 p.m., 6:01 p.m. We'll call this meeting to order. If you could, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Where's our flag? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Yancey?
Here.
Ms. McCarthy?
Here.
Ms. Saxon?
Here.
Ms. Demure?
Here.
Mr. Vaca? Here.
Thank you. Finalization of agenda.
The agenda is final as presented, Madam President.
Thank you. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the written summary of the special and regular minutes for the meetings on July 2nd, 2019, July 16, 2019, and July 24, 2019 be approved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Tamira, seconded by Ms. Yetsey. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Demure?
Yes.
Ms. Yancey?
Yes.
Ms. Saxon?
Yes.
Mr. Vaca? Yes. Ms. McCarthy?
Yes. That brings us to our superintendent treasurer's report. I'll turn it over to Mrs. Casario.
Thank you so much. While not on the agenda, I think it's important to note, you'll hear a little bit about our enrollment, that tomorrow morning we expect 1,703 students to be joining our campus. So we are pretty excited about that. We are all going to disperse and make ourselves visible in buildings tomorrow and welcome all of these new students to North Ridgeville and our returning students. So we are excited. But with that, we do know that we need to make sure our students are nourished and well fed. So I am going to turn this over to Matt Younger, who is going to give us an update about Aramark, our services for the 18-19 school year, as well as introduce us to our new director.
Yes, so as you guys know, Kyle, who's joining us tonight, is going to give a little bit of a recap of what we did the previous year. We'll introduce Eric, our new food service director for Aramark, and then Justin Cruz is with us as well. I'm simply going to advance slides while the Aramark team talks through what we did last year and some things that we have to look forward to this year. So with that, guys, I'll just turn over to you, and I'll be your official clicker.
Sure thing. How are you guys doing? Good to see you. All right, so this is our final end-of-year presentation, just a snapshot of where we were at, and then some things that we're going to do moving forward, as well as bringing Eric on board. So this is what we call our CBR. So we've got a plan. We'll talk about impact, partnership review, some insights, innovation, and then next steps. Our impact, we'll talk about past promotions, meal participation, some financial information, and then account metrics. So our financial results, in this slide I think it kind of goes with the next one. So you'll see overall, our bottom line after exemptions this year is that we made $6,481.43. Overall, if you look at our total breakfast participation, we did increase. So we'll talk about some things that we did. We put in a few breakfast in the classroom programs this year, as well as did some optimization of some breakfast cards here at the academic center, which kind of helped us deal with our challenge of not having a whole lot of breakfast time, but having a large enrollment here at this building. Our lunch participation, because we have a large enrollment, we only had 3 lunch times in this building. It kind of created a challenge with getting the kids to the line really quickly and being able to provide something that's customized and innovative. So that's kind of where you saw our drop in lunch. So our entire focus last year was working through that and doing everything that we can to keep them enticed and engaged while getting them through the line quickly. Overall, however, our total client revenue was up $21,000 for the year, which was pretty great. Our revenue per meal was an extra 4 cents per day. However, it was down about $37 per day, but we had more service days than we did the year prior from snow days and things like that, building closures. So our food costs, we did better. We ran $1.01 per meal versus $1.04. We were able to bring in a lot more commodities, which helped with that, which helped our end of year assets increase as well. Our labor costs, we actually were down 1%, which is great, coming off of a year where we had a 19% increase in our union negotiation. So we did our best to kind of control the district labor the best that we could, Aramark labor as well. District direct costs were up just a little bit, below 1%, but overall our total program cost was down $400 per day, creating a profit margin of about 2.1%. Okay, so some exceptions that go into what makes that. So if you'll go back to the other slide just for a second. So when we talk about exceptions, those are exceptions to the contract that we have. So last year we had $124,802 in exceptions of things that Aramark would deem as something that we can't control that would have happened to the food service program either way, and it's within the contract that we would take that as an exception. It was down $14,000 of what we had claimed the year before, which is good because that means more money ultimately in your bank. But moving forward, this is kind of what went into that. That's the next one. Thank you. All right, so we had 3 snow days and an extra day that was missing for the contract. So we did 172 service days, and we had planned to do 176 when we built out the contract. We lost, when we lose a service day, we lose $3,752 of revenue. So that yielded a total of $15,011.67. High school testing days, when we have high school testing and they completely close the school, we lose about $1,900 a day. We had 7 days that were like that, where we didn't have any students really come in at all. So we did lose that revenue as well. We had a lot of large purchases last year that were not amortized. So these actually could be considered assets on hand. Where we had $13,999, we had a brand new freezer put in the high school. We also had to purchase a brand new line at our high-tech building, amounting in $16,000. With the change in the uniform process, with our accounting process, we had an extra $2,700 based on this new process that we had that we could not control. It was a matter of years prior, they had done separate expenses on receipts for uniforms when they would reimburse it. This year they did a lump sum and gave every single employee the same amount regardless of what they spent or didn't spend, which yielded that higher total. There was $34,000 exceeding the labor district number that we get every single year that goes in the contract. And then the last exception would be the inventory on hand, which was $26,754, which is actually an asset so that it wouldn't be hurting your account. That's not something that your account that helps you. Okay. Forward. Okay, so how this breaks down. So after inventory is accounted for, the food service account will show a negative balance of $95,000 for the year. However, with the large assets that we talked about that weren't amortized, it does account for $30,000 of that. So the realized loss of that is only a loss of $65,000. If costs remain stagnant, which they were prior year, we were actually favorable. It would take about 20,553 meals to cover that at a revenue of around $3.18, which would be about 118 meals per day that we would need to increase to find that break-even point. And that's been our goal of our contract, without exceptions. If we had 175 days. Do you want to stop for questions or keep going?
Anyone have any questions? Keep going.
Okay, so far? I know I get mumbo jumbo on the finance stuff. Okay, so the fun stuff, innovation, engagement, and community. We'll talk about free and reduced communication tools, back to school kits, and promotion. So we always have lots of events, lots of ways that we try to keep the students engaged. We had a welcome back staff training, as always, open house, we do lots of staff engagement. We started a Ranger takeaway menu, I believe it might be on the next slide, which was a way for our staff members to be able to take home big cookie platters and some of their favorites so that they could have it on parties and also kind of increase the money that we're bringing into catering. So that will still be in place this year. We started a tiered menu at the high school, didn't take off considerably well, but it was a way for us to bring a little bit more revenue per meal and offer something a little bit better. More protein on their subs, double cheeseburgers with bacon, things of that nature. We started a breakfast in the classroom program, which was extremely successful at Liberty Elementary. We were awarded another breakfast award from the state, so you guys should be receiving a nice ribbon that Mitch can hang up when he's there. As well as the academic center, we started a breakfast in the classroom program in support of Mr. Plantner. In the 3-4 wing, where we saw increases upwards of 80% in capturing meal sales for breakfast for the 3-4 kids. We had new and enhanced customizable menu at the high-tech building with brand new line. Year prior, they didn't have anything innovative or customizable, and this year and last year, their menus kind of mirrored the academic center, which is really what we wanted because it's kind of the same age group that eats there. We had a newly branded building at Liberty and Academic Center. We threw on some fresh paint, hanged up some signs. New rotational MTO menu, Mondays at high school and academic center. That's going to continue for this year. Aramark's got some cool different made-to-order options that they're doing. I think cheesesteaks, daily cheesesteaks on one of the lines. I think there's like a ballpark menu, pretty sure. It's off the top of my head, it's been all cited menus. But I know that they have a lot of cool stuff in there, so if you haven't seen it yet, you're guaranteed to see it kind of moving forward. We also did a new toppings bar as part of our made to order for things that was one of the ones that we did for the burgers. Just little things here and there to customize the options, make more towards their liking. Other things, we do several ACE promotions we had every month. They'll be outlined I think on the next slide. We did double-decker tacos, and then we ran a Raymond bar at the end of the high school. So we worked with Nikki Roth a lot to do a lot of ACE promotions where we had ACE take pictures, and then that money was used as a slush account, that if students were kind of getting to that point where they were going to get that alternative lunch, we would use that so they can still continue to eat. So that was something that they were really engaged in as well. So this is our Ranger takeaway menu and how we set it up. It'll still be in place for this year. Different thing with cookie trays, brownie trays, of course our cheese balls, all those things are still going to be in place. Most of them are Mary's recipes. So that'll be in place. Okay, employee appreciation. We're always a big player keeping the employees engaged and happy, and you'll see that continue. Eric here. We did our Employee of the Week and Month incentive program. We continued that all year. Jenny Vulcan, she had lost her husband in the middle of the year, so we threw a nice benefit for her, and we were able to raise $2,000 for her to offset some of the funeral costs. We also kind of coupled our Employee Appreciation Day that we do every April, and we kind of mixed that with the superhero lunch person day that they have. So we were able to provide some cool things that Lori came up with. It had little soap containers, and then we did a nice cookie cake for John. This is a vital part of the operation. All right, so the ACE monthly programs that we have, these go to all of our elementary kids. They just get a little prize. We do a prize day every single month. So everything you name it, from folders to cups, a lot of it has educational material on it that talks about, eat a healthy whatever per day, drink this much water, get this much sleep for optimal performance, that kind of thing. So that'll continue this year. Same with the wellness programs. These were some of the themes that we had. We change out the posters every single month for something fresh for them to see, just an inviting atmosphere. So again, they kind of couple on things that can help them be a little bit healthier, but kind of tie into your nutrition lunch program. Field promotions, these are our middle school, high school. It's kind of a twist on everyday options that we have to provide something more elevated for a sophisticated taste palate. So October, we did burgers. We did some mac and cheese in November, different kinds of fries, chili, nachos throughout the year. Our best one was probably the hang time basket. You'll see that continue to be menued throughout this year. It's kind of like what you get at Popeyes or Long John Silver's, where you have like the biscuit and a couple chicken and then the coleslaw on the side. And it came in a nice basket, so it markets really well. It's a few different things they might not put together. So it's a pretty good one. Special event promotions, we did lots of different holiday things, tried to keep up with everything that we could. They'll continue, corporate sent those down, and they've been really good about it the last couple of years. So you'll see that continue. Any questions on innovation, community involvement, that kind of thing? Okay, so next steps here. So what we can do moving forward, I thought it was important to kind of put a slide in just to talk about things that I would consider extremely helpful moving forward in the district, capture costs and kind of promote growth. So first is just ensuring that students have enough time to eat breakfast every day. We increased our labor costs by running the breakfast in the classroom programs. They did help us to feed more kids, especially our free and reduced kids. But it was still a challenge on controlling labor with that because the students didn't have that full 30 minutes that they really need with this many students in the building. Same at Liberty, we started it there because they only had 15 minutes to get to class. So if we were able to put in a curriculum that allowed for that, I think that we wouldn't have to have as much programs, and you might see our participation for breakfast increase. Of course, keep those breakfast in the classroom programs established because they've been fantastic and they've brought in a lot of growth and fed a lot of hungry kids, which is good. Staggering lunchtimes, I know that was in place. We were working with Chuck Maurer on that last year, and I think that that's going to be a great success for you guys this year, just alleviating any kind of congestion of getting all the kids in, 700 kids in one line in 15 minutes. Increase the GPA requirement for an open campus. I know we're considering building a high school down the road. So it's just an idea that if you can keep more kids in the building, you're going to see more growth in your meals. Consider hosting high school testing for either a shorter time period or being able to have school active during that time. Just would help you capture more meals during that time. Large repairs and installations taken care of by outside parties that provide warranties. That high school freezer that we replaced this year was done in-house a couple years before, and it was an expense while I was here, so it was within the last 3.5 years. I think it was an expense of $14,000 the first time we did it, and then we paid for it again last year for an outside party to fix it. So if we would have done that in the first place, I think we could have alleviated that expense. Other things that we're doing is NutriSlice. This is where I'm gonna turn it over to Justin. So we have a brand new online menu platform that we're offering this year, connected to our website. Do you want to do it, or you want me to do it?
I'll do this part.
Okay.
This is probably my favorite part. So, as Kyle talked about, in the beginning, meal prep, and kind of how do we do that? A lot of it comes in the form of communication. How do we, just us outwardly communicating to parents, hey, this is what's on the menu, this is, these are our options, these are the varieties, and not every student, mine included, comes home with the school lunch menu. He happened to today because I asked him to, but last year he didn't, and the year before, even though I asked, he didn't do it either. So for us as parents to be able to see those things, Aramark, we partnered with NutriSlice that says, hey, what can you put it online, can make it easy for parents? So I'm going to click on the Academic Center, and so every parent, if they want lunch for their student, they have the whole menu right here. And when you have the whole menu, you can say, my son likes popcorn chicken. How many calories is that? And it's right here for all parents. Here are the ingredients.
It's extremely helpful for our nurses too. I'm working with them on carb counts and things like that, which we'll talk about in a second.
So right here, if you have a child that is lactose intolerant, you can click this here for the allergen, and it'll show you all items that they can't have because it has some sort of lactose in it. And the milks here are started because all our milks are purchased from local purveyors that don't always provide us with the nutrition behind it, but it's milk. So we never know that it's milk. But overall, it just highlights and crosses out, okay, I guess you can't have this today, but you can have this instead. And like Kyle intimated, for our school nurses, they're always asking about carb counts and watching students' insulin levels, to where it's just an easy click, and here's the whole week right there for them. So our goal was to have something that was super simple, and partner with a company like NutriSlice that allows us to put the menu online, so it's not an extra step for our directors. They make the menu, it easily ports over. From there, we can also send out email blasts for if we're changing the menu. Something new is coming up, we want to send it out to everyone. Right now on yours, I believe it has 2 messages, one about meeting Eric, our new food service director, and then us about getting feedback. Because what we want is we want parents to provide feedback on what their kids like, what they don't like, so that we can have more ideas for menus that way. In addition to all of this, we partnered with Matt here to roll out, slowly but surely, mobile ordering. To where you as a parent, if we're all home tonight with our children and we wanted to say, hey, what's on the menu for tomorrow for you to order, we could place the order right then and there. It gets sent through, just like you would mobile order Panera or your Domino's Pizza tonight. It would get sent to the district, and in the morning they'll have it, and they'll have it ready for your child during their lunch period. So all you have to do is enter their name, enter their student number. It's all back at the house, so nobody else sees it but them. And you can order their food ahead of time. So like my son, sometimes he packs, sometimes he buys. We can do that, and I can just take care of it towards off his plate the whole time. Because sometimes he wants to add extra stuff, and I kind of have to talk him out of it, to where it's just all right there, and to where he can go to a mobile pickup section, that's his name, his grade, and he can just pick it up and go sit down with his friends. So that's our goal.
The idea, I think, was kind of a soft rollout.
Yeah, just to roll out baby steps.
Yeah, so if we just did the deli line, then we can say all students that are interested in ordering a deli sandwich and having it available for pickup, soft rollout, they hop on there, make sure we work out the kinks before we get to any broad level, and then they can get excited about just popping in, and that could also help your kids that leave, if they want to pop in and grab it, they're good to go.
So our initial goal is to market it the same way that we do other items. The other new programs. So we're going to send out email blasts to parents, or we will partner with sending out email blasts to parents. Our goal would also be to put magnets on students' lockers at the high school, so it's functional, but it also has a QR code, because a lot of students have their phones anyway, and it just immediately takes them there. NutriSlice also is an app to where parents can do it on their phone. It becomes super simple to just log into the app. It looks like an orange, and there's North Ridgeville City Schools. So I can see the same menu on my phone with the same options in its own app. So it doesn't have to be an extra step going online, just as quick. You guys also have a dedicated address for it. It's nrcs.nutrislice.com. It's super simple. That was that. And then I guess the next part. I'm sorry. Yeah, or well, do you want to go to the original?
You can. That'd be more you than me.
So I'm being completely transparent. You guys go out to bid next year. In the National School Lunch Program, you're required to go out to bid every 5 years. And obviously, it's my goal, Kyle's goal, Eric or in-person's goal is to retain the business. Part of that is making sure that you're making the most informed decision possible and at least outlaying your options when you do put your food service contract out to bid. And one of those items would be to at least include language that allows you to convert labor to attrition. As it stands now, labor is your biggest cost, and it's a cost that, as you saw on the other side, that we try to mitigate, but we can't do that to the same degree as we do food costs, or to the same degree as we've done direct. So that would be an option that the district has, and it's essentially just putting in a sentence that says, Ridgeville City Schools reserves the right to outsource labor to a food service management company throughout the life of its contract. It's like one sentence. It's a mouthful, but it's just one sentence that gives you guys the flexibility, and that in a sense is always my goal, to provide as much flexibility as possible, because it's not always easy to get to the end of the road. So sometimes we've got to take go around this way, or around that way, and providing some language like that allows you that flexibility to do so. And in saying all that, I would like to introduce Eric Wiener. He is our better version of Kyle. So I love Kyle, and Kyle was gracious enough to move next door to a little space, which is
You're responsible for that.
a little bit.
I would like to say my experience here was absolutely fantastic. The people who work here are awesome. You guys have wonderful programs in place, and congratulations on your enrollment that I know that you're going to see continue to increase. It's well deserved. So I love to work.
But in short, yes, it is all my fault. And actually partially your fault.
Well, because we did extremely well when we picked up that account.
Yes, because when asked, you guys gave us great recommendations to the district next door. which
Since I've never.
Oh, that's what that was.
which I am greatly appreciated, because for Kyle, it allows Kyle an opportunity to grow. For me, the best part of my job is creating new opportunities for growth for people on the team. So it's very bittersweet for Kyle to move next door, but it created an opportunity for Eric, so Kyle, one of Kyle's claims to fame is that he, has lots of culinary, or he has some culinary experience from scratch. Like Kyle came in with no culinary experience
At all. My degree's in finance and business. But I learned everything on the job.
Yep, he learned how to cook the caterings and everything that he's done, that he's grown over the past 4 years from his mom and from Mary. So in our search for a new director, we stumbled upon Eric, who has a slew of culinary experience, some of which he prepared enough for everyone to try and taste tonight.
I think we're allowed to talk, but go ahead.
Between the two of us, you got to give us a little more time.
So Eric, if you can explain what's the sample tonight.
All right, so a little bit about me. My background is culinary. I've been playing this game for about 30 years now. Started washing dishes in high school. I did grow up in Bay Village. Don't hold that against me. We'd say that born and raised Ohio. Lived in New York for a bit, Massachusetts, Virginia, Colorado. Then came back here about 10 years ago. This is home base. First 10 years of my career, restaurants, fine dining, country clubs. Last 10 years been healthcare, hospitals. I did a short stint at Notre Dame College out in South Euclid. And then last 3 years have been senior care. So I guess picky level might be on the same. Old people like what they like, young kids like what they like. This isn't anything new. Like I say, not my first rodeo. But I get the finance, that was his piece. I get the kitchen, that's mine. So what I did do, I prepared for you guys, is grilled beef tenderloin with a mushroom bandera or ragu, which is a rich sauce, not to be confused with the Italian ragu, which is like a bolognese, a red sauce, a meat sauce. I did roasted Yukon Gold potatoes and a roasted asparagus and orange and balsamic vinegar. So if anyone wants, please come up, grab a little. I do plenty. Like I said, I'm here to take where Kyle left off, just keep moving forward.
And that was our biggest goal, was to find a director that can take the culinary pieces that Kyle, started out with. I think when we first started this district, we were only doing $8,000 in catering. And 6,000. Even for nine.
They weren't doing a whole lot of catering at all.
And then last year we ended at
31, I think. Yeah, so all that money goes right back into your food service account too, so better that we do, it's full circle.
And so our hope is that Eric can take the culinary piece and keep moving that forward, and then working through the financial piece to make sure that we stay heading in the trajectory they have been. And just the last part is, just open discussion. How can we, aside from, sorry, Eric, bringing Kyle back, how can we be better partners to you?
Question?
Well, I'm not sure if I'm going to answer this question, but I would like to thank you, Kyle, for your years with the district in the last, it's been 5 years?
3.5.
3.5 years. But I'd like to thank you for your work with the district. I know that you've worked really hard with our administration to provide lunches, especially for our free and reduced students in that population, which I'm assuming is helping them with their education in the classroom. You can't study, you can't concentrate if you're hungry. And by you helping increase that program with our administrators, it's a great success for those kids. So thank you for being flexible, thank you for embracing our staff and for treating them with respect and dignity and training. It's been appreciated.
Thank you.
And Eric, we welcome you to the district. We know we have high hopes for you to continue on the successes and
As I told, I'm just right, the new Kyle on my chef coming.
I'll remember your name. I'm the worst with names, so to say I think is being honest. But welcome. Does anyone have any questions or comments or anything like that? Okay. We're going to continue with our meeting, and then we have an opportunity for an intermission, and we can try Eric's wonderful.
Thank you.
The next item under the superintendent's report is going to be led by Mr. Ahern and Mr. Amin. And we just want to take a moment to recognize those people that have helped us throughout the past school year with increasing our efforts in terms of community communication. So, Mr. Ahern.
Sure. So really my role is to turn it over here to Mr. Amin, who is our communications and marketing supervisor, and he'd like to introduce a committee that he chairs. Well, I don't have any food, so I'm sorry to let everybody down to start off with. But as you know, I'm Sam Amin, our communications supervisor for the district, and I'm here today to recognize the members of the Communication Advisory Committee. The committee was formed in early spring and having met once a month from April to July. The purpose of the Communications Advisory Committee was to establish a district-wide team of ambassadors to help craft and deliver the school's district news, information, goals, and the needs of the schools to the residents of North Ridgeville. And since collaborating with a group of parents, community members, school administrators, including Assistant Superintendent Keith Ahern and Principal Greg Plantner at the NRAC Elementary, they've played a pretty big, vital role. They've been a great asset to the district, and they have immediately made a quick impact by volunteering for the Citizens for Better Schools. They've gotten out there, spread some information out about the upcoming ballots that we have, the substitute levy and the substitute ballot issue, and then the bond issue as well. The committee is, their commitment to volunteer is greatly appreciated, and I cannot thank them enough. Their input was pretty invaluable, and their ideas will be applied this school year and in the future. And I look forward to continue the working relationship with those people in the Communications Advisory Committee. And some of them couldn't make it here today because I know there's some people at some open houses and some last minute things before the start of school tomorrow. But I'd like to recognize those ones that are in attendance, which is Georgia Awig right over here. And then Mr. Greg Plantner all the way in the back. And then Tim Rollins over here. And then for the ones that weren't here were Haley Leitner, Jill Papish, Robin Ringwald, Kelly Graham, Mike Maxwell, Dave Grzinski, Kathy Kingsley, Amy Eldridge, Holly Swank, Tara Margolin, Jamal Solomon, and Megan Somerville. And like I said, they did a really great job in providing great input for how to communicate effectively moving forward this school year. So, and if anybody had questions or anything like that about the Communications Advisory Committee, I'm hoping to hear any questions. Sure.
Would you mind sharing with us maybe a couple of their ideas that you plan to?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So one of the major things that we went over was about the upcoming substitute levy and the bond issue. And so during some of these meetings, we were discussing what are some great ways to reach out to the community to get this word out besides, social media and emails and things like that. Like how can we connect with people in the community? So they had some really good ideas on, for instance, we can have speaker bureaus, we can talk to these groups, these kinds of groups, and reach people on a wider basis that may not be on social media or have some sort of connection to the district. So that was one of the many ideas that they had.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, Mr. Reen, thank you for giving us that report, and to your committee, I would like to say thank you to all of those who participated in that. Communication is a lifeline for a school district, and so establishing this advisory committee and having people who are active and engaged and regularly participating is of the utmost importance. So we thank you for your time, we thank you for your dedication and your commitment to it, because whether a school district is on a ballot in November or not on the ballot in November, it's of utmost importance that the community understands what's happening inside the walls of these schools. So again, thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you. And, I forgot to mention, I no disregard to them, but Ms. Yetzi and Mr. Mira also attended some of these meetings as well. So I wanted to get them recognition too.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very welcome. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, next I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Pritt, who is going to give us a little more comprehensive view of our district enrollment.
We're growing. The understatement of the evening. So, yeah, I have started several presentations this way. So these are the updated numbers as of this afternoon, and what's important to note is they are ever changing. So at the bottom, you're going to see, you're going to see a list of 4,701 students if everybody shows up tomorrow. That number is actually 4,703 students, because between the time I was able to get this put together and get it to you here tonight, you've grown by 2 more students. So, again, this is a great problem to have. We've said it 100 times. People don't move to communities in bad schools. So what's important to know from these numbers are a couple of things. Number one is tomorrow is going to be critical for us, because tomorrow is going to tell us whether or not we have students that have moved from the district. So generally, a lot of your parents will take care of that over the summer. Some of them don't realize they need to withdraw students, and that's why we haven't made significant staffing changes, is we want to see who does not show up tomorrow, because we know there will be some that were in that. A couple of things to note: if you look at high tech, they have mostly filled the spots they're looking for. They've got a few more spots in 2nd grade, a few more spots in 6th grade, which potentially could provide some relief here in this building. The couple of other critical things to note is if you look right now at 4,701 students, we are up 178 students over last school year. So we'll call that 180 just for rounding purposes, and the fact that we picked up 2 more this afternoon. Realistically, if you look at what's happening in K through 12, we picked up 206 students. So what's really driving or pulling this number down right now is the pre-K numbers. Last year, we ended the year at 176 students. This year, we're only showing 148 right now, but that number will fill out over the course of the school year. Invariably, when we hit May or June, that will be up to that 176 number again, which realistically puts our enrollment at a spot of closer to 230 to 240 this school year.
Mr. Pritt,
Yes.
that's because students can enroll in pre-K as soon as they become 3 years old, is that correct?
So that is one of the pieces, and the other piece of it is that we are required to service preschoolers with disabilities.
Okay.
So as students are identified as a student who may have a disability, they are then able to attend our pre-K program, and then we offset those numbers by bringing in typical peers as well. So that number is going to continue to grow. We believe we're in a good spot to start the year. So we've got some additional kindergarten that we added, but we think we're going to be in a good place. But again, it's going to be one of those things that we have to watch throughout the course of the year. We were hoping to be somewhere in that 3.5% range for growth this year. We're probably closer to 4 or 4.5%. So it is certainly a need that we're going to have to address moving in the future, which is why I think it's great that we're getting a bond in November. And like I said, it's really a great problem to have. People don't want to move to places without great schools, and clearly we're doing something right. We'll end these kind of numbers. So talked to our new teachers on Monday, yesterday, I guess. Seems
It's been a long week already.
Realistically, we will likely start the school year as the 3rd biggest district in the county. We should move past Avon this year, be just behind Laredo. So, any questions on any of these numbers?
Just so the public knows, our classes are now all over 300 plus students.
Well over.
And average, probably doing quick math, just looking at it, right around 340, 345.
I would say that's probably accurate. Yeah. 330 best case scenario if we're looking at average. But I mean, if we're looking at this, our smallest group right now anywhere is
Juniors.
our juniors are 3 or 6, and it's 326 and only up.
I think your grades 377.
Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah. Okay. I can take a slow walk back.
That'll be interesting for the video. People will be like, what is going on?
If you think of it, I will read it.
Certainly, thank you.
No problem.
So in order to get all of these students to school tomorrow, it's important to take a look at our transportation department and how they are managing not only an increase of almost 200 students or over 200 students, but also some of the road closures and honestly some of the last minute road closures that have come to our attention that we are now working through post bus runs that were very successful. So with that, I turn it over to Mr. Yunker, who's going to give us a transportation update.
And just a quick update on what I presented 2 weeks ago at the work session. As Superintendent Casario said, we did perform dry runs last week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. You may have seen the buses out doing their runs. Sammy Butler and her crew and Tim Kaczmarek, mechanic, to keep the buses on the road. And then our drivers that honestly take a great deal of pride in working for our district did an awesome job last week in the dry runs. At one point in time, all of us were down there and communicating with them, making sure that everyone was on the same page with what was going on. So they did an awesome job. The good news is every route we have is covered. So we've got a driver for every route tomorrow. We have 6 drivers in 6 applicants in training right now to become drivers. So over the course of the next 2 to 4 weeks, those individuals become certified bus drivers for us, which will time up well with when our new bus fleet, or our new 4 buses join our fleet. The original plan was for those 4 buses to alleviate 4 of our older buses that could be then used as spares. Because of the information that Mr. Pritt just presented, those 4 buses are probably going to just alleviate some of the bus times that we have right now. Because, again, as Superintendent Casario said, in addition to the growth, and then some of these last-minute road closures that we just found out about between the time I presented 2 weeks ago and today, our bus times, some kids will be on the bus for up to an hour. We have communicated directly with those parents. You know, we didn't know Sugar Ridge was closing until last week, and there's no way to navigate around that without it adding some time. to route times. But like I said, Tammy and the drivers did a great job last week. We're confident that everyone will be on the bus no more than an hour. Outside these first few days of parents getting pictures and it maybe taking a little longer to get kids home while we get a feel for it. And then once we get these new drivers and buses on the road, we'll be back to where we want to be. But it's exciting. I know Tammy will not sleep a wink tonight, and I'm sure that everything will go off without a hitch tomorrow. But wanted to provide that update because some things had changed a little bit from our August 6th work session.
Mr. Yarborough, what time do the two buses begin in the morning?
They'll roll out of here a little after 6:30, which actually is quite a bit later because of the start times that we adjusted. And what we'll do is we'll monitor it. You know, we did it during the dry runs. They did the dry runs. They rolled into the academic center maybe 10 minutes earlier than we thought, so we pushed those times back as opposed to making the kids sit on the bus when they get here. Well, let's leave later. They don't have to get on the buses early. It'll be fluid. They'll roll out of here about 6:30. They'll be picking kids up 6:45, 7 o'clock at the absolute earliest when we roll out here.
And remind us again, just so people know, students need to be at their bus stop how many minutes prior to their scheduled pickup time?
What needs to happen is the driver, as they're approaching, needs to see that the student is going to be there. We ask for 3 minutes prior to their scheduled time,
Right.
knowing that there could be some fluctuation one way or the other. There might be light traffic that morning and the bus is ahead of schedule. A lot of parents understandably will keep the students in their car, particularly during the winter months at those stops, or if they live in a driveway that's farther up, keep them in the car at the end. So as soon as they see the bus approaching, but in the nicer weather days, if they could be out in that 3-minute window prior to arriving, or prior to what their stop says.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Thank you very much.
That concludes the superintendent's report.
Okay. Are there any announcements this evening? Okay, at this time, we'll take a brief intermission, and we'll be back after these messages. Okay, we'll bring this meeting back to order. Here is the public on agenda items. If anyone would like to speak about an item that is on the agenda, public got a little bit smaller, but that's okay. Okay, seeing none, we'll move to our consent agenda. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the consent agenda resolution as presented on August 6th, 2019.
Move. Second.
Move to page 13. Maybe you guys did that fast reading.
Well,
Or page 12. Okay, that was moved by Ms. Yetsey, seconded by Mrs. Tamira. Is that correct?
yes.
Is there any questions? Roll call, please.
Ms. Yancey?
Yes.
Ms. Tamira?
Yes.
Ms. Saxon?
Yes.
Mr. Baca? Yes. Ms. McCarthy?
Yes. Takes us to our finance audit report. I'd like to inform the board that the operating results for July 2019 were consistent with prior year amounts. Increases in tax revenues were offset by purchases and payments processed in July for the beginning of the school year. The cash balance in the general fund increased by $51,000. I motion to approve the financial report and report of interest and investments in one reading.
Second.
Moved by myself, seconded by Mr. Vaca. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes?
Mr. Baca?
Yes.
Ms. Yancey?
Yes.
Ms. Saxon?
Yes.
Ms. Tamira?
Yes.
Thank you. That takes us to other board business and under human resources. Mrs. Saxon?
Under other board business, we have some human resources items to consider. 3 certified leave replacement appointments, 10 special project stipends, 7 supplemental contracts, 2 supplemental resolutions to appoint non-certified staff members, 4 support staff appointments, 3 support staff substitutes, 4 certified staff contract adjustments, 14 support staff contract adjustments, 1 certified staff leave of absence, 2 support staff resignations, and 1 support staff termination. And I motion to approve the human resources items in one reading.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Saxon, seconded by Mrs. Tamira. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Saxon?
Yes.
Ms. Mira? Ms. Yetsey?
Yes.
Mr. Vaca?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes. That takes us to hearing of public on new items. Sorry. Our public is still the same. Okay, seeing none, we do not have an executive session this evening, so it is recommended the Board of Education adjourn this regular meeting with no actions to follow. Moved by Mr. Vaca, seconded by Mrs. Tamira. Is there any discussion? Just want to, before we adjourn, just want to wish everyone a fabulous start to the school year, to all of our students, to all of our staff, our administrators, bus drivers, support staff, cafeteria, everybody. Everybody, it takes a village, and I think it's going to be a fabulous year, so best wishes. Roll call, please.
Mr. Vaca?
Yes.
Ms. Tamira?
Yes.
Ms. Yetsey?
Yes.
Ms. Saxon?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes. That's all for us, folks. Good evening.